All right, so let's move past the Cowboy days and let's talk about a time that you and I share.
Yes.
And I want to hear from your
The genesis
side.
of it.
I want to hear from your side where it came from.
Right.
What was the thought process of this all? And I don't know if you've actually heard my side of where I was
Yeah,
at.
I want to hear that.
And
Well-
so
Well, you and I did hear something. Remember, you guys. I know you guys don't know this, but I sold Jesse Holley's story to
Yes.
Sony.
Yeah.
We were going to do the movie.
Sony, what's up? Like y'all.
Right. I sold it to Sony. We sold
The
it.
check
We rolled it.
cleared
Right.
when
Right.
we did it,
Right.
but
Right.
the check
We did,
cleared,
yeah.
Sony.
Yeah,
I would love to get
We did
another-
take the checks. We did take the checks.
I
We
would
took-
love to get another check, Sony. I would love to get another check from y'all, Sony. So if you're watching this, Sony, and we want to, the story is
Devon
still
Franklin,
good enough.
my boy,
And
right?
the story's still good enough to run. That's
Better now.
Yeah.
It's better now than I think then, because you've done things even beyond the football field. It was so funny in selling that story, because remember, I was sitting in for Devon Franklin, all those guys from Sony, and I'm telling you, I said, man, this is a great story. And I said, man, Jesse, I told him bullshit. If he just got in the end zone and scored that touchdown, it would have been a great story. He could have made the team, scoring a touchdown on the game winner, the last preseason game. And Sony's sitting there looking at me like, Michael, that's not true. I said, what do you mean it's not true? It would have been a greater story. He said, Michael. They said, Michael, which really helped me understand TV more in that side of the business more. They said, Michael, you think of everything from a champion's perspective. So you want him to make it. But the rest of the world comes up short like that. This would resonate more. I was like, oh. He said the rest of the world feels like they just barely come up short. And they'll watch this all day long.
Yeah.
So I thought that was brilliant for me to learn that part. You know what I mean? Because it's about who you're communicating to. Whenever you're doing any project, it's who you're trying to communicate to. So that was great to hear that part. That was a great process to go through. I learned a lot.
So just for the viewers who may not know my story or may not hear how we've come together, at that particular time, I had already been in the NFL.
Right.
I had already been in the NFL. I got into the NFL. My first team was the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was there for a little bit, and I didn't do right. I wasn't doing right. And both of us being Christian men, we think about, all right, God is working on something over here while he's working on something over here. You just never know how these things are working out. And so I get released from Cincinnati. Now, this is the first time in my life
Being released.
I've ever had someone tell me, you're not good enough to play here.
Right.
And at that time, for me, everything that I had done, my identity was built in the game. If you had asked me who I was in 2000, whatever that was, 6, 7.
We all did it.
I would have told you, Jesse Holley's a football player.
Right.
That's who I am. That's what I do. That's my makeup. And so when I got released, I didn't even really know about mental health stuff like that. But I remember sitting in my apartment in Covington, Kentucky. I lived right over the bridge in Ohio. In Covington, Kentucky, and I sat there for a month. I sat in my apartment for a month, didn't call anybody, didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything. I did not know what to do.
Right. You were depressed.
I was depressed. So eventually I said, all right, I got to get up. I got to go. So I packed my TV and my clothes, and I left. And I drove back to North Carolina. Now, you're young, and at that time you come into a little money. I did the young, dumb, and I'll say young, dumb black thing. Yeah. I had bought a car. Right. So now the money's kind of dwindling away, and I'm thinking, someone's going to call me. I'm going to get back with another team, and days go by, weeks go by, months go by, ain't nobody calling. And now the money dwindling down, and I don't have no money. I'm sleeping on a futon of a family friend's in North Carolina. Now I get to the point where I don't have no money, and I can't pay car insurance. So I don't have car insurance. My car ain't registered. I'm barely making the payments on the damn car. I get a job. I'm working third shift as a security guard. This is in 2008.
I remember.
We're in the recession. I'm overqualified for everything, but I get a third shift supervisor job as a security officer. And I remember one night I'm driving, I get pulled over by the police. And God was on my side. It was a lady cop, and I said, I live right down there. Because she said, I'm supposed to take the car. It ain't registered, it ain't got no insurance on here, nothing. Right. I'm supposed to tow this car till you get insurance and registration, and you come pick it up. She said, I'm going to let you take it back to the house.
You'd have lost it all, everything.
I have everything. She said, but I'm going to take the license plates off of it. When you get insurance and registration, you come see me. So I'm thinking like, I got to get to work. I steal a license plate from another car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right? And I go to work. Right. So I'm working this dead-end job, and then I'm working at T-Mobile in the morning. You're talking about doing what you got to do to get to do what you want to do.
Right.
So I'm working from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. But I'm training from 7:30 to 9:30 at this old little rickety rundown, tape on all the equipment, the wires about to pop on some of the cables, gym. Right. Membership was $5 a month.
Right.
But I'm working out from 7:30 to 9:30, and then I go to T-Mobile from 10 to 3. This is how I'm trying to make this all come together. I get a call one night from Kevin Best, who was the PR guy in North Carolina. And he said, hey, man, I got a call from these people. From 8 Ball Production, I believe.
8 Ball Production, yep. 8 Ball Production.
And he says they're looking for people who they said can play, have the ability to play on Sunday, but able to be in front of a camera. So here's where, for me, where God began to step in and play a part. Mm-hmm. Now God is doing whatever he's doing on your side. Right. But here's how he's working out on my side. So I said, okay, Kevin. Now, mind you, I'm 2 years removed from being in school. Kevin picked me out of all the people. He's been at Carolina for 20 years.
Right.
Why me? So I get a call, and they tell me, hey, we're going to fax you over there. This is fax time. This ain't no internet really big time. We just send over documentation.
Right.
I said, fill out this questionnaire application and fax it back over. So I do it, and I get a call. And they said, hey, we got 5 audition locations: Ohio, Orlando,
set them up,
Dallas, and 2 in LA. Can you make one? I can't. But I told them, sure. They said, well, which one will you make? I just said Orlando. Mm-hmm. I ain't got pot to piss in and window to throw it out of.
The closest one you know.
Closest one I knew. So now I'm saying, okay, well, Jess, how are we going to get to Orlando? So I thought, all right, drive. Then I said, these plates don't belong to me. I ain't got no money for insurance.
Well,
I ain't
that's
got
a
no
long way, right?
I'm like, you get caught somewhere in bum F Alabama with these plates that don't go to this car.
That'll be the last time we saw you.
That would be the last time you probably saw me.
Last time.
So I said, okay, I can't fly, I can't drive. I don't have money for a train ticket, bus ticket, nothing. 2 days later, my phone rings. I'm getting off work in the morning. It's my godmother. My godmother, I'm calling to check on you, baby, yada, yada, yada. We talk, and at the whole time, I'm lying to folks. Because I'm too embarrassed to tell folks I lost it all.
Because you are supposed to be the one that brings everybody out.
So I'm like, oh, no, everything I'm waiting for teams going to call, and I ain't got nothing. I got a couple dollars to my name. Mm. My godmother calls me that morning.
That's a hard place too, though, Jim.
Well, yeah. That's rock bottom.
That's a hard place.
That's rock bottom. That's when you find who you really are at rock bottom
at
times.
Place.
She calls me. We talk. At the end of her conversation, she says, do you need to go anywhere? I said, no. I said, why you ask? She said, well, I had a plane ticket. She was in Jersey, but she was from Alabama. She said, I was going to Alabama to see my dad, but I didn't go. And the airline said, if I don't use this ticket, I lose it. Oh. And I had the credit. She goes, if you want to use it, I can just call them and see if I can put the credits in your name if you had somewhere you wanted to go. I said, I need to get to Orlando for these dates. She called. She said, it cost me about $100. She goes, pay me back when you can.
Right.
So I went from not having to wait to Orlando to this audition to having to wait. The audition, I don't know if you remember this, was a 2-day audition. You had to do 1 day on the field and kind of 1 day behind the scenes in the cameras. So I said, where the hell am I going to stay for 2 days in Orlando? I'll sleep in the airport. Then it hit me. Wait a second. You have a family friend who's my 5th grade teacher who dated one of my great uncles who lived in Orlando. She would call me all the time when I was at college, say, hey, I'm in Orlando. I'm a principal out here. If you want to come out here for spring break, come on. I got a pool. Right. And I'm like, I don't want to go to see, I'm going to go to spring break. I'm going on spring break. I don't want to come chill with you for spring break. But I said, here goes nothing. Her name's Miss Denoya. I give Miss Denoya a call. I said, Miss Denoya, you still in Orlando? She said, yeah. I said, I need to come to Orlando for 2 days. Could it be possible that I could stay with you for 2 days? She says, absolutely. Where do you have to go? I said, well, this is where it was a hotel. She said, this is where I have to go with this hotel. She said, really? I said, yeah. She said, that hotel is 5 minutes from my house. She said, I pass it every single day, leaving my complex, going to work. She said, you can walk there if you wanted to, but I can drop you off on the way. I said, wow. So I go from not having nowhere to stay, nowhere to get there, to having a plane ticket and a roof over my head, which is 5 minutes away. I go do the audition. Jesse, his name is Jesse, who was one of the producers. We go and we did the on-camera stuff first.
Right.
We did that, and he said, I'm putting a star by your name. I said, well, if you don't mind me asking, what does that mean? He said, well, we're going to gather all this information here.
Correct.
We're all going back to L.A. after we do all the auditions.
And
we're going to meet, and whoever got a star is who we're going to discuss. He said, in fact, I looked at your tape, I looked at some of the stuff. You don't even have to come back tomorrow for the on-field stuff.
Right. They already,
So I got a chance to spend a day with Ms. Denoya. So then I go and said, don't call us, we'll call you. So I go back, and now I'm still working these jobs. Now here comes, they call back and they said, hey, you have been one of the 50 selected to go to LA.
Go to LA.
For another.
For the major combine.
For the major combine.
For the finals, we would pick out people.
So I said to them, I said, all right, guys, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I Hail Mary the last one. I can't get to LA. I can't afford it. They said, don't worry about it. Those 50 that we're bringing to LA, we're flying for it, we're putting you up, and we're giving you per diem.
Right.
But you got to be here for all 7 days, right?
Right.
So I go to my boss, my third shift supervisor boss. This is my only source of real income. And I said, Mr. Quarterman, I need 7 days off. I get Friday and Saturday off because I'm a supervisor, but I need to work out these other days because I need to go and get this opportunity. I don't know if it's going to work or not, because if you remember, in between some, it was on, and then sponsorship backed out, and then it was off, and then like Popeyes or Bud Light, somebody.
Well, sponsorship didn't back out. What it was is fighting the NFL sponsorship.
Okay.
Like they had Burger King, and if we bring in McDonald's, then NFL's arguing. We had to go back and forth.
So it was on, it was off, and it was back on again.
So
I'm like, I don't know if this is going to happen, but at this point in time, I need a miracle. I need a miracle. He didn't give me the days off. I went and I bartered with the rest of my staff, the rest of my third shift. I said, if you give me your Sunday, Monday off, I'll give you my Friday, Saturday off the next week. And if you give me your Tuesday, Wednesday. So I got everybody to sign off on this thing. And I brought it back to Mr. Quarterman, and he said no. I said, what the hell? And I was dating this young lady at the time. She said, before you go to work, because it was getting closer and closer, she said, before you go to work, you need to come by my house before you go to work. So I did. She gave me a manila envelope. She said, don't open it until you meet with Mr. Quarterman again in the morning. Because I said, I got to have an answer. So I go and meet with Mr. Quarterman again, and I give him the signatures. I said, everybody signed off on this, Mr. Quarterman. Like, I got an opportunity, but everybody signed off. He tore all of the signatures up in my face. And so I'm sitting there, and I look down at this envelope. I didn't even know what it was. I opened it up, and she had already written a letter of resignation for me. And she had a sticky note on there that said, trust God. And I'm looking and I'm saying, I don't got a goddamn dime to my name.
Right.
You telling me to quit a job to chase this thing that I don't even know.
That's perfect.
What it's about.
That's perfect.
I have no idea. I don't know what they're talking about. And they didn't even tell me it had anything to do with you on it.
That's perfect.
And I'm like, I handed it to him and I walked out. I'm sitting in the car and I'm saying, you a damn fool. You a damn fool. You just quit a job in an economy that ain't got no jobs. You owe everybody and their mama. You sleeping on a futon, and you about to go to LA to chase this dream about a show that you don't even know. Because reality TV wasn't a big big thing back then.
I caught this early.
And I'm like,
I called it early. You're right.
So I go, I do the audition. That's when we first realized that it was you. And it was crazy because we're in this hotel. We're sequestered in this hotel, right? And so here's the crazy part. So we're doing this, and so you're in your room, and you cannot leave your room. Cannot. You're by yourself in this room.
We took all the phone.
And then they call your room. They call your room, and they say, hey, come down to room such and such. You come down to room such and such. It's an empty room. It's a camera and it's some chairs. and you sitting there, and it's almost like God is talking, because they go, so tell me why you're the best wide receiver here. And I'm talking my talk, right? And then somebody else walks in. Complete stranger, don't know who he is, ain't never seen this man before a day in my life. He sits down. And he goes, which one of you are the better receivers? I'm looking at him, he looking at me. Don't know this man, he don't know me, and I'm me. And of course, he should say me.
Right.
And so they've already created this drama in between it. And so we go back after the week, and they said, don't call us, we'll call you. And I get the call back. And they said, you've been one of 12 selected to go to Dallas to do a show called Fourth and Long with Michael Irvin. And the winner of this show gets a spot at training camp
for the Dallas Cowboys.
For the Dallas Cowboys. And so we all get there, and the night that we get there, our first episode, we get in there, and y'all take everything. Phones, iPads, computers. We had no connection. And people thought reality TV you watch at the time, Real World. We're going to be in this nice big mansion. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to have a good time, all that.
Right.
And then he goes, but before you go, don't forget to turn the lights out. We said, no, what's he talking about?
So yeah, right here. We're staying right here,
and
buddy.
we lived in the Cotton Bowl for 2 months.
We staying right here.
And so
we go sleep, eat, work.
That's what
we gonna do.
On my side, that was I was going through.
Right.
That was what was my life.
Right.
Tell us
my side
what was
of it.
happening on the Michael Irvin side.